Hey guys, we have covered quite a few games of the match between Botvinnik and Smyslov of 1954, and now we continue. Today we'll take a look at the game number 9, because the game number 8 ended in a draw, and if you are a fan of Smyslov's legacy in chess and of his style, you will definitely be satisfied to see this video as well as the two next ones, because Smyslov won 3 games in a row at this point after, as we remember, having lost the first 3 games of the match. So he won the previous one, now this one, and then 2 more. Let's take a look. e4, e6, d4, d5. The opponents continue their arguments in French variations. This very topical line with bishop a5 and cd4 was already tried. And now, instead of going knight to b5, Smyslov tries a move queen to g4. This move was considered to be the best one for quite a long time, because initially people thought that after knight to e7, queen to g7, rook to g8, queen to h7, bishop to c7, this line would feature a rook sacrifice. After knight to b5, bishop e5, knight to f3, rook to h8, queen to d3, bishop to f6, bishop to f4, threatening knight c7, now knight g6, knight to c7, and after king to f8, white just retreats with the bishop, and after knight c6, knight a8, e5, some very complicated position appears when people have arrived at the conclusion that the rook sacrifice isn't enough to get the counterplay black's looking for. However, then, this move queen to g4 was questioned, since after knight to e7, queen g7, once again the same moves, rook to g8, queen h7, all the same moves, knight to b5. Black found a new resource here 1 year before this match was played in the move a6. And after knight takes d4, bishop e5, knight f3, queen c7, the following position arises when, as we can see, the white queen side has been rather weakened, and the white queen ends up on a rather silly position on h7, which means that black just has enough counterplay for his sacrificed pawn. Which is why in the games number 3, 5, and 7 of the match, Smyslov didn't have enough courage, didn't really want to go for this variation. But then, as he had tried the rest of the possible lines available to him without much opening success, he decided to give a try to the new line, queen to g4, knight d7, and now ba5. dc3. Now the next moves will be rather forced. Queen g7, queen h7, knight to f3. And Botvinnik actually already had this position in his training game, which is training partner for many years, Rogozin. He went queen to c7 back in the day, after knight f3, queen c7, attacking this pawn on e5, and making white's pieces feel rather uncomfortable as they are tied and they need to defend the pawn. In the game, though, in the current game we're studying, he made a simpler move and a weaker one. He went knight to f8, queen to d3, queen a5. The point is that after queen d3, now white is very comfortable, as the pawn on e5 is never in danger, and white can actually, what's very typical of these positions, he can just start rolling his h-pawn by means of h4, h5, h6, h7, and once the pawn reaches such a square as say h5, black already feels quite uncomfortable. So after queen to d3, queen a5, h4, bishop d7, bishop to g5, rook c8, the following position arises, and black already has some ideas of his own. You need to come up with the right move for white. How should white continue? First of all, if you want to find how to play for yourself, you need to figure out what are opponent's ideas. And one of the strong threats is rook c4, rook e4, which would be rather disrupting for white's development. And the point is that after the move in the game that was played in the game, knight to d4, now if rook c4, then queen e3, and the point is that the knight's coming to the rook's coming to b1 and the knight's coming to b5, and now knight to d6 is threatened. which would be rather devastating for black, which is why he just gets his knight in the game, strengthening the threat of knight to f5. Oh, sorry, of rook to c4, he went knight to f5. And here, white came up with another brilliant decision. He didn't really want to capture on f5, because then after ef5, the black knight is able to come to e6, the rook's coming to c4, and most importantly, the diagonal b1 to h7 would have been closed now for white pieces. The move in the game, how did white continue in the game actually? Take your time if you want. So I hope you found it, and if you didn't want to try it, well, just have a look at what happened. White went rook to b1, and the point is that after knight to d4, queen to d4, black doesn't have another very important resource that was available to him one move before. He could have gone bishop to b5, trading that bad bishop, which is rather typical of French defense, and now white's got this square covered, which is very important. However, white already had to evaluate correctly that the following sacrifice isn't dangerous for him. He went rook to c4, black went rook to c4, knight f5, ef5, rook b7, and now rook c4, rook e4. And white already had to estimate correctly what he was going to do right here. How should white continue here? What do you guys think? Yeah, white came up with a very strong solution, which is actually rather possible to find. The important part was, of course, to find it in advance and be confident that it works. White went queen takes e4, and after d4, rook to b8, bishop c8. White is not really interested in taking that bishop on c8. Instead, he has an even better solution. In the move, please try to find it. Alright, you had your time. So I hope you followed the video. In the move, bishop to b5, and the point is that knight d7, rook c8 is just losing outright. Queen d8 is a mate in one. So here black had to give up an exchange, end up without an exchange, give up a queen by queen b5, and in a few moves, rook g2, h5. White, well, black just made one more move because of stubbornness. He went bishop a6, and after h6 he just had resigned. Which, in my opinion, makes this game one of the most noticeable Smyslov's achievement, especially in terms of the creative approach and the energetic play, one of the best achievements in this match. However, I would like to return to this position and pay your attention to the following idea. So white captured, and here black could have gone rook takes g5. The point being that after hg5, rook e4, the position is way more complicated, as the bishop is not actually controlling d8, so there would be no mate. And I'd like you to think here, how does white continue? Please take your time and think. White doesn't go king to d1, because after queen a3 there's a lot of threats. Queen a1 is a threat. After, for instance, rook b1, knight e6, say queen a6, trying to trade the queens, rook d4, for instance, king e1 or rook e4 leads already at least to a perpetual. But fortunately, white still has good opportunities, namely the move bishop to e2 is good enough for him. And after knight to g6, it seems black accumulates enough counterplay. Knight f4 is hanging, knight e5 may be hanging, so there's some other ideas as well. And the last task for you here would be to find how white continues here. A very strong move which decides the game, and which was something Botvinnik had blundered, was king to f1. The point being that after knight f4, white manages to untangle by means of a very strong move queen a6, and there is even such a lovely continuation as queen to b5. The point being that bishop b5, rook h8 is a lovely mate in one. And after these moves, are either queen b5 or queen a6, white manages to untangle, keep a lot of extra material, and very healthy and reasonable chances to win the game. So I hope that this short game brought you a lot of pleasure and you were rather inspired by that one. Please let me know what you think in your comments. subscribe and take a look at the other videos as well. I see you soon.